Hey guys, Tim with Perkins Roofing here, and the beautiful Key Largo, the day after we had a hurricane rolling through here. And I'm here to inspect a longtime client's roof. They have 3 roofs that are this same building style, and they have another 6 buildings that have different roofing styles that are mostly metal that you can see behind me here. But this one has a metal facade, like a mansard that goes around the building, and then the flat roof is on top. This is one of the bigger buildings. They have 3 bigger buildings. And so one of these roofs we have done a silicone restoration for about 2 years ago. And I've been telling them that they need to do it on the other 2 buildings here. And so I'll show you why this is right at the peak of its roof life for doing a restoration. You can see that if you look at the granules behind me, they're starting to fade a little bit. We're losing some granules, which is going to lose some adhesion when we're trying to adhere our new roof. And also, when you're losing the granules and the laps start peeling up, that means water is going to get under the roofing system. So we'll talk about water getting under the roofing system. We'll talk about what the granules need to be like in proper preparation in order to restore a roof rather than re-roofing it. Because to restore this roof is probably 1/3 or 1/4 of the price to re-roof, especially down here in the Keys. So doing a restoration is really going to save them a bunch of money compared to coating it. It's going to save them money, time. It's going to be less invasive. You can see there's a lot of people that come here. That people Airbnb their units. People live here in the off season. So having a re-roof, a crane, all that stuff come here, it's very invasive. Just doing restoration is much less invasive. And also it'll add solar reflectivity to the building. You can see they already have some nice white metal panels. That solar reflectivity to the building will help reduce the FPL, Florida Power and Light costs for their utilities. So most flat roofs especially go through this similar roof cycle. I mean, they all have the same stages, whether it's flat or sloped, but especially flat roofs need more maintenance than most sloped roofs. But the 4 stages of the roof cycle look like this. Stage 1 is install new roof. And stage 2 is to maintain the newly installed roof. Stage 2, generally for a flat roof, will last about 10 to 15 years in South Florida. And then you're gonna hit stage 3, which is restore roof. So somewhere between year 10 and year 15, sometimes year 20 if you're lucky, you want to be doing the restore roof phase, depending on the amount of debris that is sitting on your roof, the amount of wear and tear, and the quality of the original system you're putting down. That's gonna affect your window for number 3, restore roof. And once too much moisture it gets into your system, or when you have too much degradation on your cap sheet to prevent adhesion of a new system, that is going to destroy that number 3 restore roof window. And if you miss that window, then you're skipping to number 4 replace roof, and you don't have the option to restore the roof, which is much more cost effective than replacing the roof. Because think about it, you don't have to demo the old roof. You don't need the heavy equipment that's involved in demoing the roof. You don't need the hauling away of all the trash and the labor to demo that roof. You're just gonna be installing a new liquid roof to the existing roof and roof deck without having to do that heavy duty labor and equipment rental, which is generally from 1/3 to half of the cost of a re-roof, is just the demo and hauling away phase of the project. One of the biggest misconceptions about liquid applied roofing systems is that they're just roof coatings. Now there is a difference. A coating you can do, which is just maybe putting 1 or 2 coats, maintenance coats, on top of a roof. But a roofing applied system is an actual roofing system. You can apply this to a direct concrete deck in many cases and get a 10, 15, 20 year warranty from putting this liquid system just on top of a deck without a roof underneath. Whereas a coating is basically the roof is failing and you're putting a coating on top of it to stop the current problem, but you're not getting a long warranty out of it. It's not a system, it's just a coating to stop a short-term problem. The second biggest misconception about liquid applied systems is that you can put them on a shingle or a tile roof. Now these systems are not designed for sloped roofs. They are designed for metal in many cases, and you can put them on metal panels. But if you apply a liquid applied system to tile or to shingle, you could be causing further issues because you're sealing areas that are supposed to be breathable for ventilation. And if you're doing that, you may be causing a greenhouse effect problem where moisture and humidity is going to get trapped under the shingle and tiles, and you can get mold or algae issues that is going to happen. It's going to stick to the deck. So you can get, I've seen a lot of black mold and stuff like that appear on the bottom of plywood from people who paint or coat over their tiles because they're not properly installing a liquid applied roofing system in the manner that it's meant to be installed. In order to do the system properly, you have to make sure that you have the right deck for the job. So you have to perform a moisture test if you have concrete decks, and you have to do a pull test or an adhesion test if you have old roofing systems. Now, a pull test is simply putting down a sample coating and pulling at it to make sure that you have certain pressures met by the primer and the adhesive on the deck to make sure that your system is going to properly adhere. Especially if you're recoating on top of a prior coating and you're putting a new system down on top of an old coating, you need to make sure that your new system is going to stick to whatever was originally put down on the old coating. Or if you have old roofing papers, you need to make sure that your new system is going to stick to the old roofing papers if they're starting to peel up. Now, the moisture survey is going to tell you if there's existing moisture within the deck of the roof. And down here in South Florida, you want to have less than 8% moisture in the roof. This can be a lot greater in many cases, and I've seen this stop roofs from being able to be restored because people wait too long. Owners wait too long, and too much moisture gets into the roof, and it'll soak into the insulation that is under the roof between the deck and the roof. And when that soaks in there, it just becomes a giant sponge, and you can, but it's very difficult to get that water out of there. You can get the water out of there using breather vents, which we have done in the past on specific projects where you install a breather vent to create an airway for the water to seep out of the insulation. But you need to do that during dry season, first off, because if you do it during wet season or rainy season, more water is just gonna get in there. It doesn't matter because you already have openings. So you have to seal, you have to close the openings, put breather vents in, hope more moisture is not gonna get in there, and try to dry it out. But I've seen roofs that are like 80 or 90% wet, where those are just not gonna get fixed. But we've brought roofs back to life that were 40%, and then we installed enough breather vents that they vent out and get under that 8% threshold, so we can do a roofing system and get a warranty from a manufacturer. Preparation is the key to a liquid applied roofing system. So you have to make sure that you're adhering to something that is structurally sound. You can't just adhere down to an old dirty roof. You need to pressure clean the roof, get all the dirt and everything off of there. Or if you have a concrete deck, you have to grind it down to the proper substrate, and you don't want it to be perfectly smooth. Most liquid applied systems want like a grade 3 or grade 4 concrete. And the different grades of concrete, like you can look at different blocks, and like a grade 1 is perfectly smooth, whereas like grade 10 is like bumpy. So you want like a grade 3 or 4 for most restoration systems. You want it to be a little bit bumpy so you're getting something to stick to. But you have to make sure that you're doing the key prep. You can't be sticking to dirt. You've got to make sure everything is clean and dry. You can't be coating if if it rained the night before into the concrete, if you have a bare concrete deck and moisture is still evaporating out of the concrete, so you've got to test the concrete to make sure there's not too much moisture in it before you're coating. There's a lot that goes into it that a lot of people don't know about. So as I mentioned before, the main thing is training. When it comes to preparation and knowing the different systems, you've got to go to the trainings. You have to be certified. So make sure that you're hiring someone when you're doing a liquid applied restoration who is certified in installing the product. And most of these products are all different. They're not exactly the same, and they all have different little tricks and tips that you learn when you take the certification classes. So make sure that whoever is installing the system is certified in the product that is being installed. Besides preparation and training, the next and the last key thing is the details. You have to make sure that you know what kind of details to do and that you're doing the details right that fall under the system. So that follows the training. You learn how to do the details of the system, and all the systems have different details and different ways that they want things done. So you need to make sure that you're doing wall transitions properly, where you have a horizontal and a vertical that meet. And when you have when you have railings, when you have posts, or penetrations, vents, stuff like that. So you need to make sure that you're doing details correctly. So preparation, training, and details. So to find out if a liquid restoration is right for you and your roof, you need to know what you want. What is your goal? So the benefits of a restoration is that you're going to increase solar reflectivity. You're going to increase your SRI, solar reflectivity index. You're going to have a less invasive install because you're not going to be having a crane or a trash chute, and you're not going to be destroying the existing roof. You're going to be applying a new system over the old system. You're also eligible for a tax credit if you're doing a restoration, because a restoration is considered a maintenance or a repair. So the full cost of the restoration is tax deductible in 1 year rather than being appreciated like a re-roof. Also, easy maintenance. If you have a nice restoration, it's a nice clean white roof, it's easy maintenance. All you have to do is basically just pressure clean it every once in a while and make sure people aren't putting holes in it, and you're gonna be okay as long as it was installed correctly by a certified applicator. And last is sustainability and the ability to recoat. So a lot of these systems, unless you're putting down like a high solid silicone, if you put down a solvent-based silicone or an acrylic system or some of the urethanes or thermoplastics, you have the ability to recoat. So maybe you put a 10-year system down and you, at year 9 or 10, want to renew your warranty, you can do an additional coat more often than not and get an extra 5 years on your system warranty. So the ability to recoat and to extend warranties is really nice. So as you can see, guys, restorations have a lot of benefits over re-roofing. So I really recommend restorations, but at the same time, you have to make sure that you're doing them the right way. You can't just restore any type of roof. You have to have the proper setting to do it. You need to have the right roofs. It has to be the right stage of the life cycle. It needs to be a flat or metal roof. And then you can restore the roof and save a good deal of money rather than re-roofing. So it is recommended. Just make sure that you have the right contractor who's trained and experienced in the restorations. They do the correct preparation and they do the correct testing before doing the restoration. Thanks.